Morning everybody, join me on a Sunday morning, 9:30, sensible people are still in bed. I'm out here in absolutely foul conditions. It's 3.5 degrees, there's a 25 knot wind blowing, and as you can see it's raining hard. So perfect conditions to test out my Halvarssons Walkyr jacket and wish pants. First time out in the rain. But as well as that today, I've got a couple more products I'm testing. So one of which is a heated neck collar, which was given to me by MCA Leicester, very kindly, thank you. On the understanding that I give it a test, and I've got it on at the moment, switched on. And I've got to say, it's keeping my my neck and my sort of the upper part of my back, top part of my chest very toasty. Now, in terms of giving this product a proper test today, I've actually switched off the heated grips, I've switched off the heated seat on the RT, and I'm just relying on the heated collar. Thought that would be a fairer test. And the second product I'm testing, actually, would you believe it, are some long johns that are made out of bamboo fibre. Something I've never come across before, because it seems the standard way that most motorcyclists go for cold weather kit is merino wool, and these were a third of the price of merino, and reading some of the reviews, actually just as good if you are not getting sweaty. So merino is great if you're getting sweaty, it sort of wicks sweat away. But in terms of thermal properties, I don't think there's a lot of difference between the two from what I can gather. But time will tell. So as I say, the only thing that's keeping my lower half warm today is the wish pants and my bamboo long johns. Too much information, eh? Certainly this hour on a Sunday morning. I'm not going to overtake there because these three vehicles are quite closely packed in, and the overtaking lane isn't very long and sort of throws you out into the middle of the road. So I think there's another opportunity a little bit further down. So we shall bide our time. So today is also an opportunity to practice my wet weather technique, and I think what I discovered last year, and that with Dale's advice as well, is that key to riding in the wet is essentially just keeping everything very smooth. So no sudden acceleration, deceleration, braking, changes of course, changes of gear, which means you've got to really up your planning. And then the second strategy is in terms of positioning, whereas we would normally position for view, I mean obviously we always position for safety, don't we, but whereas we'd normally position to get the maximum view, we will sometimes sacrifice that in wet conditions to position for the dry line. And the objective really is just to try to ascertain the water tightness of the suit and how warm it can keep me on a day like today, because I mean even as we've been speaking the temperature now has dropped down to 3 degrees, and if you've been following my winter strategy over the last couple of months, you've seen I've invested in some held Gore-Tex gloves. Got some City Performer Gore-Tex boots, and now I've got the suit, because I've just found the leathers this time of year, whilst they are reputedly waterproof, my Wiser Hydra leathers are supposed to be waterproof, I just found I was getting cold in them actually, and as an all-year biker I wanted to be comfortable, and therefore the plan was to invest in good quality gear that I'm going to get 5 to 10 years out of at least. So I've really pushed the boat out and got the best I can afford. I'm a great believer you don't buy the cheapest stuff that's on offer. because normally after 18 months or so it tends to fail in terms of what it's supposed to do, either keeping you warm or keeping you dry. And what I've learnt is in the long run you buy the best you can afford, and this by the way goes to a pair of shoes, the bed you sleep on, but also the motorcycle gear that you ride in, on the basis that when you actually divide the cost of it by the number of years it's going to effectively last, and by effectively I mean do the job it was bought to do, then actually it works out far cheaper. Otherwise you end up buying lots of cheap pairs. And always thinking, you know, I wish I'd spent a little bit more. So go on, treat yourself. So 40 mile an hour limit, NSL ahead. And lots of standing water around today. Riding stables on the left, and we've got a right into left. Dryline round the corner. A glimpse over the hedge there, Land Rover's coming, keep away from him. And what I've learnt with these Metzeler road techs is they're, not that I've pushed the limits you understand, but they are almost as good in the wet as they are in the dry. We're getting read a couple of road tests on them, so they shouldn't really limit me today. And still have a good level of, good amount of tread on. Okay, so looking down the road I can see over the hedge there the road is clear. Again, there's standing water everywhere today, so just need to be a little bit careful. I was out in the car yesterday and just moved over to the side of the road just to let another oncoming car come, and put the near side tyre into a puddle. What I thought was a puddle turned out to be a pothole, so in the Range Rover I got away with it, but on a bike you wouldn't get away with that. Wonder how many motorbikers I'll see this morning. Nice to be out. As I mentioned on my previous winter ride out, one of the benefits of riding in the winter is that you actually get the road to yourself, particularly on a Sunday morning, and it's a great chance to hone your technique, because of course you've got to be on top of everything. You know, there's so much more grunge on the road, mud and gravel and so forth, that you've got to be watching out for. Crossroads, have a village ahead, so we're expect to see a 30 mile an hour sign. Lifesaver as I change position, NSL ahead, and push on. So do any others of you go out on a Sunday morning for a ride on these kind of days, or does the bike stay in the garage? As you saw in the previous video, I got it nice and shiny, and now I'm going to mess it all up again. And visibility is an issue today, just through the visor. Obviously keeps filling up with rain. You get a little wiper on the index finger of the left hand glove, but these things are never particularly effective, are they? And a lot of standing water here, as you can see. And I think where there is standing water, then you really want the bike as upright as possible and as smooth as possible, don't you? Oh, isn't that a beautiful sight? centre of the lane as I go over the crest. Just move out a little bit just to extend the view. Maybe not as extremely as I would if I was it was on a warm summer's day. So I've got the visor open just a crack today as well, just probably a quarter of an inch or so, just to get a nice breath of air over the inside of it. Oh, that's interesting. It's like grain. What to expect the unexpected. If you watch any of my videos from last winter when I was, with respect, very inexperienced and only fractionally trained, you'll see all the mistakes I made. And as I've always said, the Back to the Bike channel is not a how-to channel, although some of you may learn from it, but it's more a diary of my learning. And I'm very clear that even though I got my first with the IM back in December, I think it was now, I was congratulated on a very professional ride, which I was absolutely delighted with. But I know I'm just very much a work in progress, because I've got to internalise that, I've got to make it a habit. It's got to be the way I ride subconsciously. Okay, a couple of runners out here on the bend as well. Right, so progress update on the heated neck collar, the Halvarssons neck collar. It's keeping me very warm actually, so bearing in mind it's 3 degrees today, and normally I'd have my heated grips on and my heated seat. So I'm just coming through the village of Helmden now. Lifesaver. And very warm, and I think one of the reasons it works is because so many of your major blood vessels actually flow through the neck area, so of course your whole body benefits. I'll just hold this mini. So again, you can see there's a lot of standing water around, particularly in the verges, but there's quite a decent dry line here. Well, I say dry-ish, relatively dry, which is well gravelled. And what I mean by that is gravel that's built into the bitumen surface. So of course, because you're taking the dry line and not not moving over to the extremes of the left or to the right when you're approaching a bend, it does mean that you have to reduce your speed appropriately going around a corner, because your view isn't as good. So just body check so far. So the Hell gloves, hands lovely and toasty, no heated grips on today, and I'm very much of the impression that actually the neck warmer is keeping my hands warm, because of course the blood vessels that flow down into your arms originate in your neck and your heart area, don't they? The back of my neck, probably about 6 inches below the back of my head, is probably the big warm patch, but you get this sort of nice warm feeling around the sort of collar area and just below, probably 2 or 3 inches below that as well. And the way this gizmo works is that it has a conductive strands built into it, and what you do is you connect it to a power pack, and they say that I can't remember, but something like a 5,000 milliamp power pack will last a couple of hours. Well, I've got a 20,000 milliamp power pack, which I found really useful for lots of purposes, and I've got it plugged into that, and I've just got that basically parked in the top pocket of my fleece actually, but it would very easily go in the inside pocket of a jacket. And they give you a little, I think it's a micro USB cable that actually plugs into the neck collar. And I've got to say, for 50 quid, you know, those of you who want to ride out in the winter, this is really keeping me warm. In fact, I've got to say, arguably, it's keeping me warmer than the BMW's grips and seat would do if they were switched on. So give that a definite thumbs up. And as I say, just a full disclosure, this was given to me, I didn't buy it, it was given to me by MCA Leicester on the understanding that I would test it, so thank you very much to them. Go and visit MCA Leicester. It's a relatively small town centre shop with a lot of expertise, a lot of enthusiastic young lads who work there, who know their stuff, very helpful, and they give good price as well. It's where I bought the Walkyr jacket and the Wish pants. But that hasn't swayed my opinion of the vest. The vest, I think, I probably would have bought anyway actually on that basis. Like we're losing this little hatchback in front, which is a good thing because there's some nice little bends coming up. So I wear plastic glasses, varifocals, and just having the visor open just a fraction just ensures that the inside of the visor, if it does get steamed up, it very quickly unsteams and the glasses stay clear. This patch of road's always a little bit exposed, so the wind tends to gust a little bit. So just trying to look over the hedge here. Can't see anything coming. And because of that, and because the road surface is reasonably dry, it means I can take a slightly more aggressive line. Trying to stay off the white lines today, any white road markings. That was a bit of advice was given me last year on the comments. Can be slippery, can't they, in wet conditions? But the wonderful thing about the RT is of course it's built for European winters, isn't it? It's okay, just roll off here down to the 30. As my mentor Dale would say, no need to brake. Crossroads. And get out of the roundabout. Yeah, my hands are as warm as on a summer's day, and as I say, I put that down to the neck warmer. Let the BMW go there, he had the momentum, and of course in wet conditions for Four wheels are always going to be better than two, aren't they? Probably even in dry conditions as well. Okay, so coming down to cross the M40 down here, so just rolling off. Just need a little bit of brake. Got a learner driver in front who I think has stalled. Let's get past, shall we? It's interesting in the winter, I'm not as able to ride as frequently as I would do, and you do start to, even just the fact that maybe in the summer I was riding twice a week, and now I'm probably riding once every couple of weeks. Even that does start to affect your observations, your planning. It certainly does for me anyway. So again, just a quick check. I'm warm, dry. So just a quick check on the leggings as well. I've got to say, these long johns are keeping my legs warmer than the running bottoms which I had been wearing. Got a pair of technical running bottoms which I wear, or had been wearing in the winter, and these are certainly outperforming those. So for 20 quid, I bought them from Go Outdoors. I'll put your link up if anybody's interested. Recommended. And they do stress with Halvarssons that to get the maximum performance out of the suit, you should wear technical gear underneath it. Very much like used to happen in my sort of mountain climbing days. Technical gear, when I first started out in the sort of 1970s and 1980s, I remember walking up the Dungeon Gill in a pair of wellies, a pack-a-mac and a cycling cape. But of course gear's moved on a little bit since then, hasn't it? And it's all about the layering system. So these bamboo textile long johns are certainly doing their job. And as I say, I don't have the heated grips on, I don't have the heated seat on. Just the heated neck warmer. Oh, and the wind's blowing now. One of the things I mentioned on an earlier video was with Gore-Tex or Pertex or any of these membranes that are waterproof yet allow the transpiration of water vapour from the inside, they always transpire from the warm side to the cold side. So in my pants, as on my gloves, if you switch the heated grips on or the heated seat on, then you can actually end up with damp hands and a damp backside. But as I say, one of the things that I've I think proven today is actually having a warm neck actually benefits the whole of your body, because it warms up the blood that's flowing around your body. So I'm dry as a bone, I'm warm, I'm comfortable. So the winter strategy in terms of my gear, not been cheap, but neither has it been the most expensive available. The winter strategy has I've got to declare it effective, it's worked. So there we go, back to the bike. Thanks for joining me today. All the best to those of you who've taken the time to make yourself a brew and watch the video. And as always, join me in the comments and let me know about your winter riding tips, particularly wet weather. So back to the bike, signing off. All the best, and we'll see you next time.